Oh, it changed colors.
It says we're live. I'm sitting in his chair, so do I get to do all of his lines?
I can
be Vanna White. For all your coffee needs, King Harv's Imperial Coffees. Ignore the typos. Sip the coffee. No, not on this, but they got called out badly for the Raconteur Press one. So they are hanging a lantern onto it, leaning into it. They're all about coffee, not grammar and spelling. That's what we're for.
I thought it was adorable, but that's just me.
I did too. So to keep the heat, cold, wind out of the blanket fort, Ko-fi.com. Buy us a coffee. And not a King Harv's coffee this time. The other kind of coffee.
Buy us a roof and heat. Because it was cold. When I got Chewy out of bed this morning, it was cold.
Yeah. And then, amongtheleaves.teas.com. Or it's tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves Teas. See, that's what I get for going off the top of my head and not actually reading what's in front of me. We all run into trouble with that. It's so fun to tease authors about not being able to read when they don't follow the instructions.
And here we are. For those of you wondering, the birthday boy took his VA-approved back to a chiropractor. So he's not getting out of bed today. So
it's his birthday. I would prefer he spent it feeling better, but... If you want to spend the day in your bed and birthday.
I would just like to see him off a walker, but that's just me.
Rick, Jonna did not say anything about an earthquake, and knowing Jonna, she probably slept through it.
I would have. Apparently, I've slept through several here.
There was one here, but I was it was middle of the day and I was working, and I very definitely felt that. I actually wondered if something had hit the house.
Apparently, there have been several, and I'll have Rita going, honey, did you feel an earthquake? I'm going, what? Earthquake?
Well, the earthquake we had here felt a lot like when the tree fell on the house, so...
I don't get that wrapped around the axle.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have lived in places where earthquakes were serious concerns. My mother actually has more of a reaction to earthquakes because she lived through the 1964 earthquake and was in coastal Alaska, I think Valdez at the time. So, yes.
Ian Road and track, earthquakes just fell loose tread. No, I would wake up for that. Because having had to work on a thrown track, if I feel a loose track, I will pull over. I'm awake. What? Giant counting robots.
Yes.
I took our geriatric pooch out at 4:00 this morning. When we went to bed, it had not been delivered.
Oh.
And Rita and Lisa are in the house, by the way. Lisa's being quiet in the corner. Rita's being Rita in the back. Rita was all excited about because it was supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to bed. When we went to bed last night, we didn't have one. Well, I got our geriatric pooch out of bed because chronic kidney disease. At 4 a.m., guess what appeared on our front porch? Amazon is damn.
We're in Christmas delivery season.
No kidding.
And so much has shifted to online shopping. I mean, I know I hit Black Friday kind of hard, but that wasn't necessarily for Christmas gifts. It was stuff I've been waiting for it to go on sale.
Yeah.
So you've got a copy. I haven't got a copy
We
yet.
have a copy.
Yeah.
I've got one ordered that I'm going to have an oopsie at the Raisin Farm and drop. Because this is a fantastic book, guys. It really is. Rita and I were going through it in bed this morning, and that was just y'all outdid yourselves. You really did.
Mike's poetry for that was brilliant, and the thing is too is that he did it, and he pounded through a good chunk of it while we were doing the Rack Press retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And he was reading bits of it. We're all laughing and cheering him on. And then I broke the news to him that in order to meet Amazon's formatting stuff, it had to be X number of pages long. So he goes, oh crap, and dives back into it and adds more. And I actually think it's better for what he added into it. And then of course there's no good. So ideally a picture book should not be longer than about 40 pages.
Okay.
Talking to people, moms and other children's librarians years ago, I learned that ideally you want about 20 to 40 pages for a picture book length. Well, we can do an Amazon paperback for print on demand at 24 pages long. But I did not want that. I wanted to do this one in hardcover.
Right.
And Amazon's minimum page length for hardcover is 76 pages, which is really, really too long for a picture book. So we got creative and added more material to the back of the book.
I was going through it. I was looking at the extra material, which is great. It really is. But it's like, crap. We're going to have to do something like this for every one of our the Sprague's books, the Sprague books.
Yep. Well, okay. I am going to be researching some options. Have you seen the Book Vault editions that Maggie Hogarth did? Oh my gosh, they are gorgeous books.
Okay.
Book Vault is based out of, I think, the UK, but they've got printing ability here in the US as well. They've got some things they only do over there and some things they do over here. But they are the up-and-comers for elegant print on demand. Things like the end papers being like gold leaf or sprayed with an image, inset fly leaves and dust covers, and it is they're collector's editions. They're beautiful. They are books as art. So I want to look into what Book Vault offers for the children's books. And I'm also going to look at Ingram Spark. They're a pain in the butt. We don't want to run them through Draft to Digital because Draft to Digital has issues. But if Ingram Spark will allow me to do a hardcover book that isn't 76 pages long, we can do a more classic children's book. In the meantime, what I will do with this is I can use that extra part at the back to create more material for the parents. So in this case, with the giant counting robots, it was a natural to just put in a teaching guide back there, and also to have the decoding section for learning binary coding and SCSI.
As we were laying there, half asleep, which is when most of my really, really good and really terrible ideas occur to me, I was thinking, Rita's putting one together called No One Knows Where a Kitty Cat Goes. And I was thinking that would be great for Morse code, for teaching Morse.
Okay. I mean,
if we're going to teach little stuff, I'll go through my 19 era Boy Scout manual. Boy Scout handbook had a lot of stuff in it. I mean, it's got semaphore stuff. We can teach boys semaphore and Morse code.
Oh yeah, totally. I have a copy of Two Little Savages on my shelf at home, the Ernest Thompson Seton, and it's basic woodcraft and the story of it's things like building fires and building teepees, and I think the boys build a drum out of a hollow log. I mean, just and bows and arrows and all of that sort of thing.
The hand spelling alphabet. Oh, American Sign Language? Am I supposed to do that?
Yeah, that's a plus.
I want a Moggy Morse book.
Okay, that sounds like the kitty cat book. Space Possums, I had already planned on what I was going to do for Space Possums, which is to talk about two different things, which is talking about space exploration and the future of it, especially because things have changed so rapidly.
No kidding.
And also about possums and what possums do in the ecology for us, so that any kind of random encounter.
Raconteur Press, we can link any two things.
There is making these kinds of connections is the beautiful part. I mean, we've already been doing this. Space Cowboys, Moggies in space.
Well,
I mean,
Rita's still kind of up in the air. She's in the back. Hey, baby.
What? What?
Come here.
What? 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 What?
That's the ad, guys. That's the ad. That's the ad.
That's the add-on.
Rats
is that
in space.
we can link any two things.
Oh,
Yes, possums
so
are they're not
rats.
They're
They're adorable.
marsupials.
They're adorable. On we'll get it. She's coming. Beauty takes its own time.
Yes.
Okay. No one knows where a kitty cat goes.
One never knows where a kitty cat goes.
Okay.
What about it?
Give the basic.
Well, it's going to be a bunch of kittens that were maybe orphaned and went walkabout, and where all the places they end up and adventures they have, that kind of thing.
Like on the sands of Barsoom and the atmosphere of Jupiter and stuff like that?
No, Earth as is.
Okay.
It's like a discount sale, as is. Yeah, that means we're not marking it down any cheaper than it already is, because it's just, known quantity.
But as we're laying in bed and we're discussing the giant kind of robots, I was figuring no one knows where kitty cat goes. Have a couple of boy and a girl going along following these cats into various adventure stuff, and just have a little gray mackerel cat walking through a Egyptian tomb, and the boy and the girl with wooden swords looking at stuff on the walls.
Oh, hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics on the walls.
Wait to read that book when you read it.
I'm the idea guy.
You and I we'll talk about the kitty cat book.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is that for right now, at least until I've done the research and figured out if we can do shorter hardcover books, we're going to be adding the extra material in the back, a teaching guide of some
Oh,
kind.
neat.
She
we'll have to
did
figure.
giant robots.
What I liked about it, what kind of inspired it was the story of my boss's little girls and a kitten that had wandered up to their house, and they're flush for pets. They couldn't take another one. And one of the daughters who said, "Well, can we keep it, mommy?" And no, that was not possible. And then the little girl, who just very, very maturely and sweetly said, "We need to take her to the shelter so she can be well cared for." They ended up taking her to a local no-kill shelter. But I thought, I thought about the kitten that I lost when I was 4 that was in the mailbox, like the mailbox on the corner and everything. And I thought of it every time. For many years, I thought there's probably a kitten in that whenever I would. And anyway, Mom wouldn't let the cat come in the house, but it was a small kitten and too little to be left out, really, but disappeared overnight. And who knows if Dad disappeared that? I mean, maybe not, probably not, but anyway, but it was one of those things I was thinking, wouldn't it be neat to have a little a story about, well, we can't keep this kitten, but it goes off and has another life and everything, and it's safe and okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that the empathy of children is so tremendous very often that they worry about little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to know that even though we don't have stewardship over a pet or something or an animal its whole life, it can go off and have a happy, healthy existence where it's safe.
Yeah.
And if we can weave in it's okay to have adventures, because that's what we're about, right?
Well, yeah, and there are adventure kitties, definitely. That's definitely. But but you do bring up a good idea, which is it might be neat to have, I've been flummoxing over this, whether it should be just one particular litter of kittens and where they like just disperse to, or if it should be a random cat here, a random cat there. But anyway,
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I mean, it's still very much at the noodling around stage. So.
Yes, very much.
And there you have a inside look at the Raptor Press noodling session. Not many good recipes for cat. I beg to differ. However, I don't want to get stabbed by my little lady. So, Yeah, went to live on the farm. Bad.
So
We won't go there.
the other thing here, folks, and I'll bring this up now because it's probably going to have to come up later on the Substack or something, which is we've had people ask if they can send us a children's story. We are open for chapter books right now, and we would love to have anything that you're writing that's meant for boys ages 8 to 18 that are middle grade and no less than 30,000 words in length. But for the picture books, because of how we're doing them right now, we're just doing them in-house currently. We may branch out and work with other people, but I'm doing all of the illustrations for these, and I have very limited capacity.
Only so many hours in the week.
Right. So yeah. So right now we're definitely not soliciting picture book poems or stories or anything like
Not
that
yet. As we grow.
Oh yeah, no.
And we're gonna grow, folks.
As we grow, if we've got somebody else that's able and willing to do illustration, but
we have certain
this is going to
standards for illustrations.
We have certain standards for illustrations, and this is going to sound arrogant, but in a picture book that's fully illustrated, especially the way Giant Counting Robots is, the illustrator is taking on the majority of the work for that book. Anytime you've got a full color illustration, now I'm using Midjourney for a lot of the rendering on this, but anytime you have a full color illustration, particularly if it's done in traditional media, you are talking hundreds of hours of work on that. And if you are hiring an illustrator, you will soon find out that the inexpensive, simplistic ones are looking at a couple $100 a page for illustrations, ranging on upward to probably 4 figures a page. So children's book illustration is not for the faint of heart. It is not inexpensive, and it is very complicated because you're trying to work with the story to do the story justice. And this is actually where we Mike and I got the chance to actually sit down side by side, shoulder to shoulder at the computer and storyboard and work through a lot of the illustrations for Giant Counting Robots. And that was really helpful for both of us, I think, because he realized that it wasn't just as easy as, oh, this is what it should be. And I'm like, that's not going to work in that composition there. So there's a lot to it. And so it's something we're only going to do a couple of times a year right now. And it's something that we're not soliciting submissions for this particular thing.
Richard Brown, dang it, John, little Timmy's back in the barn mixing nitro again. If little Timmy isn't making rocket candy, that one of these books will have a recipe for rocket candy in the margin, just because every kid should build rocket candy.
That's probably going to be the education of Law Dog.
I heard something in the back. What, babe?
Did you say a recipe for rotten candy?
Rocket candy.
Okay. All right.
Rocket candy. Crowd.
Programming Midge to generate images with consistent rocket designs is maddening. Yes, there are ways around it.
Threatening with a sledgehammer, apparently.
So there was a movement a year or so ago, and I don't know if it caught on, to refer to people that could get Midjourney to give them what they wanted, to call them prompt wizards, because it's not a straightforward process.
I got on Night Cafe. I was newly on Night Cafe for a bit.
Some of the free ones are interesting.
And I did some Night Cafe, and I thought, well, I have a newfound admiration for Cedar and Sarah's work, because it ain't easy.
It is not. So,
yeah.
Oh, did you get it, Tuvala? Did you get the Headless Horseman?
Good luck with that.
So, okay, so when I started with Midjourney a couple of years ago, you couldn't get horses. You could, I mean,
Apparently, inputting salmon in a stream in Midjourney is really
Oh no, that particular image, they had to work hard to get that because that is not what Midjourney will actually do, or
Really?
any of the other ones.
Okay.
No, somebody did that deliberately as a joke,
okay.
and it's hilarious. But four legs. Oh, I mean, sometimes I got 2 or 3, or I don't know how many there were. I stopped counting.
Night Cafe was terrible. I was terrible about putting multiple central figures. I mean, damn.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, which is it has gotten much better. It still does surrealism beautifully. The image that I was sharing around today of a zero gravity feast is just this beautiful surreal image of um, this thing, and it's not something. I mean, I can see a human artist coming up with it, but it probably wouldn't occur to them to even want to. We're working off of my Discord was working off of a monthly prompt challenge thing. So this is the nice little bit of surrealism that we got today out of
That's
Midjourney.
surreal.
And it is a zero gravity feast because that's what the prompt was for the day. And I'm not the only one doing it. And one of the ladies that's doing it is using one of the other AI. And her results look very different than what the Midjourney results look like. And between her and having noodled around a little bit with Grok, which is the AI connected to X, because I have a blue check on X because supporting Elon, go Elon.
Go Rocket Man. Go home.
Go Rocket Man.
Rocket
Yes.
Man, go home.
Let's
Rocket
go
Man,
to Mars.
home.
Hey, there's a reason we're doing Moggies on Mars this coming year.
Yes.
But yeah,
Dedicated to Elon Musk.
Yes. We should definitely dedicate that one to Elon Musk. I mean, I don't know how he feels about cat girls, but
He's a nerd. How do you think he feels about cat girls?
it's a pretty safe
Hey,
bet.
giggle from over there.
So yeah, I'm enjoying my explorations of these tools. And I mean, it's a misnomer to call them artificial intelligence, and I try not to use the term because that's not what it is.
They ain't intelligent.
Well, they're machine learning models, and Midjourney's how it works is actually really interesting, and it fascinates me. I don't grok the math because I don't do math at that level, but it's fascinating to me how it's worked. Is they're very useful, and they have the potential to be even more useful because everyone's all about AI hands, and I'm like, have you looked at them recently? Because that might have been the case a year ago, but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
So it's as we continue to, Sarah in particular spends a lot of time because she doesn't pay for the full level like I do, so she gets her hours of use time by training the machine.
Hey, smart.
So yeah,
Smart.
no, it's a great incentive. She gets something, Midjourney gets something. So it's really interesting to watch it evolve. And the other thing, and I've got a bump on my soapbox again, ranting, is that, and this is, I think, one of the reasons that Midjourney provokes such a harsh response from artists, is that you get beautiful art.
Okay.
If you go look at like the front page of Midjourney, which is just like the top level stuff that people have rendered that particular hour that you are accessing the site, it is beautiful. I mean, there is stuff in there that harks back to classical paintings. There's stuff that looks like it just stepped out of a fine art photography magazine. And modern art is a banana duct taped to a wall.
No kidding.
So, or the installation that was notoriously thrown out in some European magazine or gallery because the janitor, it was a spilled trash can, and the janitor was like, "Oh, let's tidy that up," and it was an art installation.
Oops.
I really hope they didn't fire the poor janitor for that one.
That's Europe. They probably didn't.
Yeah, or the crucifix and the pea, which is a notoriously, and the shock art is its own whole other thing too.
Yeah.
And there are people these days, artists that are doing beautiful art, but a lot of them get dismissed as being commercial art because it's what people want. So it's what people buy. And it's like somehow if you're making money as an artist, that makes you lesser than. I have never understood that and have always objected to that.
Well, I remember back when the shock artist did the crucifix in the,
Mm-hmm.
and I am edgy, and I belong to, well, if you were really edgy, you'd do it with the Quran.
Yep.
And oh my God, the backlash.
Yep.
No, you can't do that. So it's okay to denigrate the Christian religion because they're not going to cut your head off.
Yep.
So you're actually not all that brave.
Yep. Yeah, about 10 years ago, I made a piece of art, a cartoon, of a pen and a lot of blood and a body lying in the street. And the title of it was Je suis Charlie. Because Charlie Hebdo was killed in France by someone who objected to him having drawn Muhammad in his cartoons.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to
Courage
do that level,
courage is not doing something shocking with a crucifix. Courage is doing something shocking with a Quran.
or that lovely young lady that took off her hijab and wandered around in her pretty striped underwear.
Oh, that poor girl.
I mean, she's undoubtedly no longer with us, but that was courage.
Yeah, that's courage. In Tehran, no less.
Yeah. No, just seeing the videos of that.
That's courage.
And I mean,
without a AR-15 and a platoon of knuckle draggers nearby.
I think she'd been driven to the point where she knew she wasn't going to survive much longer anyway. So she was making a statement.
They're going out on her own terms.
So, yeah, RK's got it. It's not shock art; it's schlock art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I am an artist. I have been an artist for a long time. It took me a long time to accept that I was an artist because what I used to do for art didn't fit my perceptions of what art was. I was a sculptor from the time I was a child, but I did simple, primitive folk art type sculptures. So in my eyes, they weren't good enough. Looking back now, I was doing pretty darn well for having started when I was like 8. And then later, I decided I wanted to learn how to draw and paint, and used that as my daily sanity for 7 years. So my relationship with being an artist is complicated, but some of that is also the fact that artists get a bad rap, and justifiably so, because let's face it, we're all a little flaky.
I would posit that artists don't necessarily get a bad rap. Artistes do.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that there are artists out there that are very straightforward, very professional, deliver on time every time. Yeah. I'm terrible because, and I'm going to have to change some of my policies with my clients. I'm not good about enforcing the invoicing and actually getting paid for what I've done. So that's got to change. I'm probably going to have to go to a 50% non-refundable upfront, or after the initial sketches. Anyway.
Tell them that you want it. All right, send me a check.
Yeah. I've got one client that finally decided that, oh yeah, right, the check is actually in the mail now. Mm-hmm. And another client that has ghosted me since first and second delivery of invoice. So I can either quit or I can start doing it differently.
You have friends who are artists in some of the lesser socially acceptable arts. If you should happen to say, hey, so and so owes me money, some of your friends could probably go over there and work his shins over with a lead pipe until he decides he wants to cough up money, or she or it.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, because I'm not making a living at it, I haven't been treating it as seriously as I should have, and just kind of like, all right, I'm just walking away. I'm never going to work with this client again. But
Still hasn't get paid.
no, I know, and I have to get paid, and I'm facing at the end of this work contract. I don't know what's coming next, so I might very well be doing this for my living, whether I want to or not.
The great things about extension cords, you can beat somebody with it, or you can strip it down and put it in a wall and really have fun. Just gonna throw that out there.
Christmas lights. We're talking about Christmas lights. What's your name at?
Hey, Frank, how's it going? Oh, Frank probably saw the thumbnail and had a runaway. Look at the flowers, Cecil. Or don't. I don't care. Why are people sending me monkey videos?
Because it amuses them when you splutter and the accent comes out.
Somebody sent me a video of some little psychotic simian that somebody taught how to use a knife.
Oh no!
Which I thought was a terrible idea.
That's a bad idea.
It was funny. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think I think?
The one
napalm.
The one that has been popping up for me is the little
of
video of the black and white monkeys that look like they're made out of rubber bands because they're all like long arms, and they're feeding it grapes, and it comes running up and it's waving its arms in the air. And every time I look at it, I think of you and how angry you would be.
It's a monkey. Nope, it's just a monkey. Just a monkey.
It's a monkey. It looks like it's made out of rubber bands.
Probably fit better into the air cannon that way.
Oh dear. The idea of Dawn with a wrecking ball. Can I have a seat and some popcorn at a safe distance?
You know, I don't actually mind lemurs. Lemurs?
It's lemur.
I don't actually mind lemurs. Lemurs, the ringtails are cute. They're adorable.
Yeah, they are cute.
I like lemurs. I like bush babies, which really freaks people out.
Well, bush babies are adorable. Their eyes are so big.
Yeah, and they're doing, 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 doing.
Yes.
I will mention, however, if you get up at 2 a.m. and open the back door and there's 11 of them sitting there staring at you, it has a certain Hitchcockian feel to it. Anywho,
have you seen the picture of the little Australian marsupial and it's wrapped around a finger? He's about this big.
The one that says that it, don't get me wrong, it wants to kill you. It just can't. But lemurs don't bother me, and bush babies don't bother. I think bush babies are adorable. Monkeys, however, and that includes the great apes, up to and including humans. It's just that people get wrapped on the axle and you stuff a human in their cannon.
Shooting a guy out of a cannon used to be a feature at some events.
Not the way I'd have jacked up the pressure, it wasn't. Boom! Wow. Night of the living lemurs. Bush babies, they gather. In West Africa, they can gather in hordes, and I'm serious. That when I say hordes. I mean, I don't know if y'all have seen bush babies. They're little fluff balls, those great huge eyes, and they boing. They don't jump, they boing. And trust me, you watch them, it's a boing. And they love bugs. They really do.
That's
bugs,
about the size of them. They can eat a bug.
some bugs in Africa can eat them. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
But if you have a bug infestation and the local bush baby population finds out about it,
you will be visited.
Yes, in the night. And don't get they're adorable, and the sounds they make are adorable. But when all you see is bush babies for yards, it's a little concerning. Holy crap! Yeah, why do you call a guy grape?
That would be that.
But not eyes. Just sometimes some people call eyes bush babies. The I is a Latin word meaning, oh my God, that's a nightmare. Yeah, bush baby.
Bush baby.
Yeah.
Big eyes.
And ears. And they boing. They don't jump.
And the caption is, a tiny primate that washes its hands and feet with urine.
Most of them do.
See,
in one way or another.
this is the fun thing about doing children's stories. Oh.
Moving on. Fun thing about children's stories.
I'm not the one that's been going on and on in the chat about giant pooping robots. First of all, giants haven't got the innards to poop.
Right down the. Wow.
That's painful with soda.
Well timed, Cedar.
Oh. No, but seriously, this is the fun thing with children's stories. Is that you can get the educational stuff in there in ways that intrigue small boys and might horrify their parents.
I just do rocket candy and nitrogen triiodide. She does urine washing.
Oh, but yes, it's at the bottom of the manure pile that you find the crystals that you need for your...
Not for nitrogen triiodide.
Well, no, but other explosives.
Lots of explosives. Lots of fun stuff. Lots of energetic compounds. Oh, I got stupid this morning. Don't ever go back and look at your more popular posts when you're blogging. Don't. More particularly, don't go back and read the comments.
Oh, no. Never read the comments.
Never read the comments. My dumbass. Downloaded a cached version of my Nord Stream post, the one that killed the internet. And I got to read the 600 comments. Yeah. I would like to point out to various internet experts, you don't need air for combustion.
No.
You need oxygen. More particularly, you need an oxidizer, which brings oxygen to the party.
And in seawater, there are a number of substances which are vigorous oxidizers.
If you needed air for an explosion, your pet theory about the frogmen with the C4 on the pipeline at the bottom of the ocean, are they fitting the demo block of C4 with a scuba suit?
I have a mental image of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
You don't. It does. You just need an oxidizer. There needs to be oxygen in there somewhere. You don't need air for combustion. That's my rant for the day.
Yes, that is why everything rusts in salt water. Salt water is hateful.
Salt water hates. And I'd like to point out that oxygen is killing you. Just to throw that out there.
This is why we don't breathe pure oxygen.
Oxygen is killing you. Oxygen kills everything. Oxygen is a hateful element. You are striking a balance between living and having oxygen destroy you right now. So, zinc bolted to holes, yes. And I've still got a lung full of Pepsi, so thinking's not my strong suit right now. On to something more cheerful. Goblin Bazaar.
Yes.
We have pulled the trigger on Goblin Bazaar.
Is live.
I would like to point out to the haters that thought there's no way that Rector Press could do 24 books in 2024. That's my official word on that.
Yep.
Official statement.
Goblin Bazaar is the last new anthology release of this year. So that wraps us up. We have done 24 and 24.
We did more
And
than
maybe
24.
a few extras. But we did 24 and then we just kept going.
And we're going to sit down. We're going to take a deep breath. And in 2025, we're going to do it all over again.
25 and 25.
We are insane. We are just flat
Yes.
insane.
Well, I mean, but they knew that about us already. So.
And I've cracked into John Van Stry's novel he sent us. I've started reading it. So far, it's great. Yeah, we'll be. I was very mature, Ian. I know people don't take me serious sometimes, and there's good reason for that. But try to be nice about it. I listened to when people didn't know I was there. For somebody that's a redhead, I'm really good at sneaking around. There are very few high school photos of me. And the 99% of my high school graduating class, the only reunion I showed up for, didn't realize I graduated with them. I tend to be very inconspicuous most of the time. So when I'm in the bar, the con, or the hall, I hear you talk. I hear the smack talking, and I did. There was, they said bad things about my my mental capacity, and I'm not talking teasing stuff. I'm talking, well, when he fails, biting off more than he can chew. We did it. We're going to do it again. Bite me.
Well, Goblin Bazaar was my pet because I did the selections of the stories for that one, and I wrote an introduction for it, and I did all of the illustrations for it. So I think that it's a good book, but I am very biased. So hopefully we'll hear more in the reviews soon from people that are actually buying it, enjoying it.
Chris, my little brother, he's one or both of them.
No, he's not. He's in Goblin Market, not in Goblin Bazaar.
He read the comments, the reviews. He read the reviews.
Yeah, I haven't read the reviews.
Yeah, I told him to stop doing that.
It's got Goblin Market has like 70 reviews, which are more than that, I think, which is a really respectable number for an anthology, by the way.
If I remember right, he said the latest one mentioned his story as being, I think, creepy.
I don't remember that story as being creepy, but okay. So here's the thing. My vision of the Goblin books, Goblin Market, Goblin Bazaar, and we'll have Goblin Souk next year. So keep an eye out for that open call. My vision for those is not sweetness and light. There's some cute stuff in there, particularly Mog's Last Day is cute until you get to the very end and realize what happened. But that's what I wanted, because Christina Rossetti's poem is delightfully creepy and macabre. And goblins, as far as the mythology around them, they're an interesting dichotomy of playful tricksters will protect children if the children have been good, but also
we'll drag them to
right. And well, then you get George MacDonald's Princess and the Goblins, and those are thoroughly evil, creepy little creatures in that book.
They're like monkeys, only with redeeming features.
George MacDonald's goblins haven't got redeeming features, so.
Oh no, it's for coffee capers.
Oh yes, that one was a little creepy. I liked it.
I don't know what a starbat is, but I'm using it. Cloying weirdness, is that bad?
Oh
I've
no!
already got the next 3 written. They turn the cloy up to 11.
Oh, I like it. No, and
didn't realize cloy was the thing.
Coffee Capers wound up, and when I did the illustrations, I had Renee Magritte and Escher very much in mind for the illustrations for Coffee Capers, because I wanted to tap into that surreal. So Dave from King Harv's Coffee, his story was kind of my lodestone for collecting that for coffee capers, and his is very surreal and it's very strange. Chris's fit right in with that, and there was some other stories that were like more normal, mundane, not bad stories, but what I wanted was that streak of surrealism throughout.
Chris, like me, grew up in Africa with pre-Disney fairy tales, which nightmare fuel, and also with West African and Middle Eastern influenced fairy tales, verbal storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to tell you, if you've grown up on Say Died at Disney, that can be a bit of a culture shock.
Well, and this is something I'm really encouraging our authors to branch out from, well, especially from Disney, because most of the Disney takes on fairy tales are thoroughly inaccurate.
Death to Ratwell.
Yes. And I have become, I don't know why.
Well, she's ranting. I'm going to be right back.
I have become a bit of a I'm not even going to say scholar, bit of a collector of fairy tale books and books about fairy tales and such. My first book given to me, I was born in October and this was given to me at Christmas time. My first book is a very large, lovely illustrated book of Russian fairy tales. And I still have that book, somehow managed to keep that through all the years and all the moves. And so I started collecting other books with Russian fairy tales in them, but then that branched out into, I mean, I have Bullfinch's mythology and Edith Hamilton's and the classic stuff that you expect, Grimm's and Hans Christian Andersen. But I also started looking for the more obscure stuff because I was like, if I'm going to use these as bases of the worlds that I'm writing, which I did with Falcon's Kittens, and I did again with somewhat with my Underhill books, but especially The East Witch, which is set in Underhill, Siberia. All of that research that I've poured into doing that has made me realize that we haven't even begun to tap all of these wonderful tales that underlie the cultures and storytelling of the entire world. And there is this rich treasure trove of material that authors could be looking at instead of going back to visiting the same tired Cinderella and Snow White and werewolves. And there's so much more out there. And it could be exciting to see someone do those things. I really enjoyed Larry Correa's Son of the Black Sword, where he's exploring more of an Indian mythology in that fantasy series. I'd love to see more of that kind of thing. Unfortunately, it's a little bit harder because it's not what people grew up with. People grew up with the Disney movies. They grew up with the various TV adaptations, and being able to track down all of Andrew Lang's colored fairy books, it's easy now because they're public domain. You can just get them for free online and read them. So now I'm trying to occasionally write articles and link resources for people to be able to find these things because it's fascinating.
Fairy tales were a way to scare the shit out of kids and stop them from doing stupid crap.
They taught manners in a lot of places and etiquette.
Don't wander into the forest.
Etiquette is very, very important.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be polite to that little old lady because she might be more than what she seems. Mm-hmm. And she might eat you.
When you have a 4-year-old Sprague in medieval Europe, stay the hell out of the forest. Mm-hmm. So you put things... Pepsi in my throat.
Dark things. He can't drink today. He's got a drinking problem.
Yeah, no kidding. But you don't want your 4-year-old Sprague wandering off into the forest, especially at night. So you fill it full of little ladies in chicken huts and candy houses and blue ogres that will eat you. And it scares the crap out of little buggers, and they stay the hell out of the forest.
And I mean, the other thing too is that they were used as a way to tell stories to let children's empathy, which we were talking about with the kittens a few minutes ago, give children's empathy a channel into this is what happens when changelings, children that wither and die. Well, it was the fairies. And it gave them a story of that child didn't actually die. It had been taken to fairyland and was growing up pampered and petted in fairyland. So there's a lot too. And then we get into the whole swan maidens and variants of that. But yes.
Does anybody know where the common term for a cerebral vascular accident comes from? When you pop a blood vessel in your brain, we call it a stroke.
Yes.
Does anybody know why? It's a shortened term of elf stroke, because you've always been hit in the head by a invisible elf with a blade.
Yep.
So stroke is from elf stroke.
Yep.
That's a cerebral vascular accident. Elf stroke. Of course, our commenters would know where it came from. I knew they would.
I mean, that's why I wasn't going to just jump in there with it. There are times you are too much of a curmudgeon, my dear. I'm referring to my husband in chat.
Oh, fairy tale too successful, too many kids survive. No kidding. I want to write the fairy tale about Baba Yaga.
I have seen the little mini that somebody made of the little like Airstream trailer on chicken legs.
I want to write the story about the Airstream trailer on turkey legs and Baba Yaga.
And this sounds like an anthology idea. We should throw it in the good ideas file.
2026.
Oh yeah, definitely 2026.
No kidding. I heard Rita's eyes roll over there.
Oh, there's so much scope out there for these combinations. Yeah. And Alma Boykin did a series of, I think they're mostly short stories, where she has Russian Baba Yaga and others, but here in the United States, as she has these Russian immigrant family whose their son has to deal with, and of course there's a cat. I think his name is
Ethel Friesner had a series about a kid. A good little series, but for the life of me, I can't remember all the details. But Baba Yaga came back. It was all of the. It was whatever your cultural heritage was, your the spirit or the other folks from your cultural heritage showed up. So the main character had a Russian. I think his grandfather's Russian, so Baba Yaga showed up.
Yeah,
and he was living in California, so Baba Yaga went to a esthetician and became Bambi Yaga. And oh my God, it was funny. I remember there was his girlfriend had Mongolian heritage, so she had this Mongol warrior that followed her everywhere, her sainted ancestor, and that he was funny.
That sounds like it would be a lot of fun. And I love this kind of twist. I don't like the thing that Sanford just referred to, which is the thing that's a movie right now, which I'm not going to mention by name. I do not like this current day thing of we're going to take this popular children's story and
Lisa has views.
Reverse it.
That expression says I have views.
Yeah, I have to say this. I read that book in 2000, whatever, like 1, 2, whatever it came out, 2002.
I refused to read it, but go ahead.
Immensely, but at that point, we didn't already have the barrage of things like Maleficent, things that like these things.
Suddenly, all of the villains are actually misunderstood heroes.
Them. Yeah, you have gradations. You don't have like an all evil person. Well, sure, he tied her to the railroad tracks, but he never got a red wagon when he was a little kid, and he was just misunderstood. And if he'd been nicely treated, then and look at this good thing over here he did.
So you Mozambique him and say nice things at his funeral.
Some POSs need to die.
Yeah, that's Nancy's got it. She says, I loathe the current trend of explaining away evil people as just misunderstood.
I dislike the trivialization of evil.
Yes.
Um, there is evil out there, and it's a Jim. There is evil out there, and I dislike the it's not actually evil; it's just misunderstood. No, it's evil.
Sometimes the evil just needs a good little pardon. You know what the bad thing is that it's really saying that there is no such thing as evil.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, this is why we opened Giant Counting Robots, to come back to that, with the quotes that we did. Because it is good that children know that there is evil in the world. They need to know that and be armed against it. They also need to know that it can be defeated.
Yep.
And that's the point of melting the evil witch in The Wizard of Oz, is that Dorothy actually was able to stand up for herself and defeat the evil. And if we take that and we reverse it into, oh well, it should never have happened. No, what are you teaching children then?
Yeah. If you can't kill evil, how do you deal with it? Well,
Right.
you don't have to, because it's not really evil.
We should sympathize with people that enslave other species. I mean,
Mozambique
I know how you
and-
feel about flying monkeys, but still.
Mozambique him and say pretty things at his funeral. Problem solved. Problem
Right.
solved. Problem staying solved.
Right. And the whole thing of, how do we want children to deal with their abusers? Because that's what Wicked is teaching children, is that, oh, I should just try to figure out why they're doing this to me. No, that is not
Well, they
okay.
they retool Dorothy as the bad guy.
That's exactly it. Of Dorothy is a child in the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, sorry.
Always-
Soapboxes.
As Rita's gonna roll her eyes when I say this, but always pay the insurance.
Double tap.
But that's what I want. That's what I want for the children's books, is I want to teach the children that they do have agency, that they can have adult allies, that not all adults in their world are stupid or ineffective or evil, that there are that they can manage a lot on their own, and when they get completely out of their depth, they will have heroes that they can turn to, even if that's their dad.
That's one of the things that's apparently really I don't quite understand. I do, well, intellectually I understand, emotionally I don't. We're getting a little bit of pushback about the traditional family and healthy relationships, and that's not going to change, guys.
It is important that children have a role model of what family can be. And there's too much out there right now.
And if your
so much of
response to
it.
me is, I don't know if I can write it, I've never had a loving family, then don't write it. Moving on.
Your imagination is insufficient if you can't.
Then don't write it. Moving on.
I mean, I really feel for the children that didn't have that. And I'm aware that there are children that had horrible childhoods. However, being able to imagine the childhood you would have liked to have had and write that, that's where you should be going with that.
My
Not
company, my rules. My
not
rules are
saying, oh, I can't do it because I didn't have it. Well, you can
Loving
write
relationships.
outside of your experiences. Otherwise, I wouldn't be writing fantasy where my heroes encountered Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. We're going to do Baba Yaga.
Or something that allows for Baba Yaga in it, because Baba Yaga as a theme might be a little too niche and narrow. But
There's a, y'all might not have noticed. I love taking stuff and twisting it just a bit. Like making vampires not actually undead, just colonized by fungus. I like doing that sort of thing. And there's this brief little, I think 50-word shot set in Russia about Rusalkis. And at the end of this, there's these heavy stomping sounds, and this guy, and the house goes by, Baba Yaga's house. And the point of view character is yelling, if your house shits in my yard one more time.
it's the Russian guy telling the Rusalkas to get out of his pond and stop eating his goldfish.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yep. That's the sort of thing I like to write. If your house shits on my yard one more time.
Although, he always comes across to me not as Russian, but Finnish.
With that attitude, yes. Or, it's the whole thing is written like he's being followed by somebody with a GoPro, and he walks over the pond for the Rusalki urine, and he's going, what are you staring at? Get a job. And one of them reaches out to grab his ankle, and he goes, what are you trying to do? You're too small to drown me. Shoo!
It is beautiful. It is
And
the
I love
kind of
it.
thing. Yes.
It takes stuff, and it's me. It takes stuff and kind of.
Yes. I don't mind that kind of twist. It's the whole, we must make all of the villains into misunderstood heroes. No, that's sickening.
In my Con and Ellie world, they have like the Spear of Longinus. And instead of putting it somewhere and guarding it in this monastery in the backside Tibet, what the good guys did was make 100,000 copies of it and scatter everywhere. And they put really bad curses, so if you tried to invoke the power, something would happen. Exploding gonads, that sort of thing. So the bad guys are looking for these things and then not using them because they don't know if it's the one of 100,000 that actually works, or if body parts explode. So they're looking for them, they're guarding them, but not using them. And the good guys are sleeping late and going fishing.
I do believe that we have used up these fine folks' time.
That's 1 hour.
Which we really appreciate, that you giving us your time.
Yeah.
So
Can't believe people after years are still coming to see this thing, but okay.
Oh.
All right, guys. This is Tuesday, right?
No, this is Thursday.
This is Thursday. All right, disregard. We'll be back Tuesday. We'll be back Tuesday. Maybe Curtis will be back. Maybe not. We'll see.
We'll hold up his slack for him.
If not, I'll probably. Something will happen. Y'all be safe. Goblin Bazaar is coming out. Tell your folks. Tell everybody.
You don't have to. If you can't afford to buy the book, don't buy the book. We don't want you to go into a financial push, but you can share on social media. If you have already bought the book, if you can leave a review, even just a short and sweet one, that's fine.
The world begs you, don't make me get on here and sing In the Arms of the Angels. Trust me, the world is begging. All right, y'all be safe. We'll talk to you later, all right?
Bye.